In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember. We remember.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham va'anachnu nevarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו,
בכל העמים נפלאותיו.
כי גדול אדוני ומכל המאוד, קראתיה ענני ומרחביה מן המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה עודך כי ענית אני ותהי לי לישועה עודך כי ענית אני לישועה ותהי לי ותהי לי לישועה המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה מן המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה עודך כי ענית אני ותהי לי לישועה עודך כי ענית אני ותהי לי לישועה
טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so good to be here with all of you. It is very frigid outside, but when you walk in, you feel the warmth, not just of this space, but of this family, this community that is gathered around to mark a milestone in the life of a young woman in our congregation. Chloe, we're so proud of you. And also to celebrate Shabbat, which is something that we have to claim every week and that helps us have a taste of a world of peace and joy. And it is essential to our spiritual well-being to bring that in. And we know we are joined not only in this sanctuary by all of you, but all of you who are joining us through live stream. Some of you are friends and family of our bat mitzvah today, and we say welcome to all of you. And some of you are just an extended community that is part of our larger central family. We say Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We're grateful to our musicians who elevate our worship. And if you do not know us on the Bima, I'm Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, joined by Rabbi Rebecca Rosenthal and Cantor Dan Mutlu. With that, we enter into this space. Whatever you've been carrying from the week, and I feel like it's been a lot, we're going to let that go. Let us create a safe container in this sanctuary of Shabbat, of being able to revel in the growth of human life, of Jewish continuity in the face of it all. That is what we're celebrating. So we'll continue on with prayers, thanking God for the very soul that has been put into our bodies. Elohim Shema. What page is that on?
78.
78. Please join us on Elohim Shema.
Elohim Shema שנתת בי טהוראי, אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי, אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה, טהוראי, אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי, אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי, אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי
So we'll continue with a psalm of praise and joy. There's a teaching in the Talmud that says, sometimes you feel a sense of divine presence and you are able to sing. And there are other times you don't feel it. But then the Talmud says, then you just need to start singing. And then the divine presence will rest on us. So whether or not you've already come in here feeling in the right spirit, or you need to get into that spirit, I know that singing will do it for us. So whether or not you know Hebrew or not, there's only one word you really need to bring that divine presence right now, which is hallelujah. Can you try that? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And I know it's not so easy to sing when you've got a mask on, but this makes you even more aware of your breath, which is what this line says. Every breath shall offer praise. So it goes like this, the chorus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. That's it. Hallelujah, hallelujah. One more time. Hallelujah, It's Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, El Bekodsha, Hallelujah, Birkia, Hallelujah, Birkurota,
Hallelujah, Kerogoda,
Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah.
Take a shofar.
Take our shofar, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. B'tziltzilei Shama, b'tziltzilei Shama, hallelujah. B'tziltzilei Shua, hallelujah. B'tziltzilei Shama, hallelujah. B'tziltzilei Shua, kol hashama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, kol hashama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Now that we've had a chance to warm up our breath and our voices, we are going to rise, if you are able, on page 108 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
You can be seated. We read on the top of page 111. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order, then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters, and to draw out justice and truth.
Top of page 110, we will chant these words a few times together, this blessing for light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech useh shalom uvorei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech useh shalom uvorei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech useh shalom uvorei et hakol.
turn to page 114 and 115 for the words of our Shema, perhaps one of the most important prayers we recite every day. And to get us ready for the import, the weight of these words, we'll meditate musically on the English words. So after singing these words a few times, please feel free to join me as we prepare for the Shema. Hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel. Hear, O Israel, Adonai, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel, hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בהם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We turn now to our song of redemption and freedom, Mi Chamocha, on page 122.
La 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 שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים
We take a moment now for silent prayer. This is a chance for you to speak the words and the feelings and the emotions that are in your heart, all the love and blessing and joy and pride I know we're all bringing into this room today, but also so much that we're carrying from this past week. You can use the words that are in your heart or the words that are in the Siddur that begin on page 124.
We now turn to page 124 and we rise for our tefillah. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Agadol, Hagibor Manora, El Elyon, Gomel Chazadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות,
ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים, אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי ברוך, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרס אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקום אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיך,
קדוש
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון לדור ודור.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teaching flows from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol
is now an honor for me to call up generations of Chloe's family as we pass the Torah to her. I invite the rest of the congregation to please be seated. Chloe, this is what we call a Sinai Moment. It is not only what we hope will be a peak mountaintop experience that you reflect on in your life, but also a moment where we actually reenact the moment that our people received this Torah for the first time, actually at Mount Sinai. And we do this in every generation as each next generation takes the Torah as their own and promises to carry it on and pass it on to the next generation. You are putting yourself in that epic story now of the Jewish people. We could not be more proud of you. And it is a moment that is sort of nerve-wracking. I understand that. It's hard to stand on a mountaintop and feel the tremble of all that responsibility. But the good thing is you don't do this by yourself. You don't stand here alone. You stand here with your parents, with loving grandparents. And I want to acknowledge that I know you have loving grandparents who are watching you. You've got your grandparents, Jim and Peggy in Nevada, and Roberta and Jerry in Florida. And they also are very much present. And then I want you to imagine grandparents who might not be alive, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, maybe whose names are now forgotten. But you should know that you're standing here today is very much a fulfillment of their dreams as well. So with all of that pride and love in all that you represent and all that you are, as a young woman taking her place in this Jewish story, we pass this Torah to you on your bat mitzvah with so much love.
You're a gift, and you're a blessing. You are history in song. You are hope, and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. Letov Adon nagid godlecha. Letov Adon we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Letov Adon, these lips will praise your name. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
With a special thank you to an assist from Harlow for undressing the Torah for us today.
My Torah Yitro from the book of Exodus, chapter 18, verses 13 to 22. For my first Aliyah, I will call upon my parents, Charlie and Danica.
So come on a little center so we can find your spot.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi mimaharat vayeshev Moshe lishpot etam vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'arev vayar hotein Moshe et kol asher hu oseh la'am vayomer Mahadavar hazeh asher ata oseh la'am madua ata yoshev levadecha v'chol ha'am nitzav alecha min boker ad arev vayomer Moshe lechotno ki yavo elai ha'am lidrosh Elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
For my second Aliyah, I will call upon my grandparents, Michael and Sarah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki yeh lahem davar ba'elai v'shafatati bein ish uvein re'ehu v'hodati et hukei ha'elohim v'et toratav v'yomer hotein Moshe elav lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh novelty bo Gam ata, gam ha'am hazeh asher imach, ki chaven mimacha hadavar, lo tuchal asohu levadecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'sotenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. These generations later. Okay, you guys can all take your seat. You're going to listen to the cantor. He's going to say a few nice words to you. Do you need the name of God? I got it. Okay, so just look at him for a minute.
So Chloe, before we call you up to the Torah as a bat mitzvah, we just have a few words for you in this very special moment, which some say is the defining moment of your becoming bat mitzvah, because you wouldn't be able to chant this blessing without becoming bat mitzvah. So there's the proof right there. Although, through your months of preparation, through the way that you have taken this so seriously and poured really your heart and soul into preparing to become for a bat mitzvah. I think you've been becoming really since the very first tutoring session until today. And as Rabbi Buchtal said, this is a Sinai moment, and there are many people that brought you here, that made this possible. And when we call you by your Hebrew name, we're actually thinking of one in particular, which is your great-grandmother, Sophie, for which you were named. The Sophia in your name comes from her. And there's also in your name Chaya, which is life. And you are most certainly full of life, full of spirit, full of care and love. And you bring that to everything you do, especially to this moment. So we are very, very proud and honored to call you up now for the very first time as a bat mitzvah. Ta'amod, 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 ha-bat mitzvah, Chaya Sophia bat Chaim v'Danika.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah le'olam va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Let's see. Atah. Right there, Atah.
There we go.
Atah Shema bekoli i'asecha v'hi Elohim imach. Hey, Atah la'am mu ha'Elohim v'heveta Atah et hadvarim el ha'Elohim v'hisarta etem et hahukim ve'et hatorot v'hodata lahem et haderech Yehu ba ve'et ha'ma'aseh asher ya'asu ve'ata techazeh mikol ha'am anshe ha'ayil yirei Elohim anshe emet sonei latza v'samta alehem sarei alafim sarei me'od sarei hamishim v'sarei asarot v'shavtu et ha'am v'kol eit v'chaya kol hadavar hakato yaviu elecha v'kol hadavar hakato yishbituchei v'hakel me'elecha v'nasu ita. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Please rise.
V'zot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai le'ad Moshe. Ya la 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 la. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai.
Has someone ever told you you weren't right and you knew you weren't right, but you didn't want to change or admit it? In my Torah portion, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, is asking Moses to get help with judging people. People would have to stand in line from dawn to dusk waiting to hear Moses pass judgment. Jethro pointed out to Moses that there is only one of him, but so many Israelites, and he can't do it on his own. Jethro didn't think this was fair to Moses nor the people. Jethro offered a solution that Moses could handle the big cases, but he would have help for the small cases. If Moses asked for help, people didn't have to rely on Moses for everything and wouldn't have to wait around all day. It must have been hard for Moses to change his ways because he's so used to helping everybody with everything. Once you get into a routine of doing something, it can be hard to transition. But Jethro points out that there is a danger of trying to do everything yourself. While it may seem natural to want to do everything yourself, it isn't always the wise thing to do. You can spend too much time doing something that can be done more quickly with a group of people, and you can get really stressed and overwhelmed. You will spend time doing the wrong things, and you won't give yourself enough time to do the important things. You have to know when you need to ask for help and when you're pushing yourself too hard. Moses was lucky that he had someone like Jethro in his life to remind him that he can't do everything himself. Jethro sets the example that it is good to ask for help and that it is better to work in a team. Moses learned many lessons in this. One lesson is that he is not the only one who can serve the community, even if he is the only one who can talk directly to God. I think Moses feels that he is so special that he is the only one talking to God. He wasn't trusting other people to make any decisions, even if they were small little things that anybody could handle. Moses feels that he should be the one doing everything for everybody, which is incredibly unfair to everyone, including himself. The Israelites felt this was unfair because they were the ones forced to wait around all day just to hear Moses' opinion. If other people were allowed to make decisions, they could actually focus on their lives. Moses realized what he is doing to himself and the Israelites and chose capable individuals of Israel to hold power with him. You might be wondering what this has to do with my life. Well, here's my experience. This year, I was struggling with one particular subject in school, and deep down, I knew that I needed help. But I didn't want to admit it or reach out. But my parents did know I needed help. They didn't do my work for me, and they didn't reach out to my teacher for me, but instead encouraged me to reach out to my teacher, just like Jethro encouraged Moses. It was definitely hard for Moses to hear from Jethro that he couldn't do everything on his own, and it was hard for me to know that I actually couldn't get by without getting help, but I had to accept it. It was hard to hear, hard to accept, but the hardest part was finding the courage to go to my teacher. Not only did I learn something new about the subject, but I learned a fact of life. It's okay to ask for help, and it feels good once you get the help you need. No one will get mad at you if you ask for help, but when you don't ask for help, it affects everybody. In my Torah portion, the Israelites were aggravated because Moses was not asking for help. When he finally did, they were happy that he shaped up and he was relieved. I worked myself up for the response I didn't get from my teacher. I thought I was going to be in trouble because I didn't meet expectations. Instead, my teacher was very understanding and glad that I reached out. After going to my teacher, I felt more confident with asking for help more often and not hiding what I'm struggling with. Be conscious of how you perceive yourself because someone else could be perceiving you totally differently. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. I will continue with chapter 9, verse 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'drehem hanei amarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Havoker b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'nvi'ei ha'emet v'sedek.
Amen.
Ki yaled yulad la'anu bein nitan lanu v'tehi ha'mizra al shikmo v'yikra shemo pele yo'et el gibor aviad sar shalom.
Wow. That was so amazing and so beautiful what you did today. We feel your goodness and your kindness that comes through even when you chant, certainly when you speak. And I don't know if you can appreciate how much your message The fact that we all need sometimes to be able to reach out for help, that when we don't, it affects a lot of other people also. I can't tell you how much that resonated for me this week, and how that's a wisdom that it is amazing that you understand already as such a young woman, and that you shared it in such a personal way. You've really lifted us up. We have such tremendous pride and joy in who you are as a human being, and we feel so grateful that you've taken your place in our congregation. So with that sense of joy and pride, we want to rise up together and celebrate this moment, which is marking you becoming bat mitzvah.
Simman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simman tov, simman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simman tov, simman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simman tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael.
Please be seated.
As you just heard so beautifully from Chloe, we are in one of the most dramatic moments of the Torah. Last week we had plagues and the splitting of the sea, and now God giving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. The Torah tells us that there was thunder and lightning and smoke as the people stood waiting to hear God's voice. The rabbis imagined what took place right before Mount Sinai and asked, what inspired God to give the Torah to the Israelites in this moment? They imagine that God goes from place to place asking different communities if those people would like to accept the Torah. After being offered the Torah, the different communities ask, what's in it? Before they accept both the gift and the obligations that come with Torah, they want to know what they're in for. One by one, God shares what is in the Torah, and each community rejects God's gift. One is unhappy with resting on Shabbat because they would prefer that their animals and their slaves keep working. One is unhappy with the Torah's requirement for fair business practices because they would prefer to keep cheating their neighbors, and so on, and so on, and so on. Then God comes to the Israelites. One can imagine that God is feeling a little nervous at this point, that no one will accept the Torah. God offers the Torah to the people, and they respond, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do, and we will listen. First, the people say, we will obey all the laws that God has laid out in the Torah. And then, we will learn more about why we do this, and what meaning they can add to our lives. This may seem like a kind of backwards way to go about things. Shouldn't we learn about things and then do them? But consider the way that our lives develop. Some of our most important values are built from the beginning, before we even understand why we do them. We teach children to put money in the tzedakah box before they understand anything about money or charity, to build the muscle of giving to others. We learn the prayers of the Shabbat service before we know what they mean, in order to pray in community. Perhaps, Chloe, there were even parts of your bat mitzvah process that you did before you fully understood why you were doing it. You, Chloe, are a light. Your warmth and intelligence and caring come through the minute someone meets you. And I'm sure many of those traits were instilled by your family and your community before you fully understood why they were important. As you take your place among the adult Jewish community, I know you have learned how important it is to care for others. You immediately zeroed in on Moses' state of mind, thinking about how hard it must have been for him and how lonely he must have felt to have the weight of the responsibility for the entire community on his shoulders. This is something you do not just for characters in our Torah, but for everyone around you in your daily life. Our blessing for you is that you always find empathy for others. You always look for ways to help. And you continue to learn, like Moses did, how important it is to also accept help when you need it. I know that there are so many people in this room who have blessings for Chloe in this joyous moment. Please rise as Chloe joins Rabbi Bakdal at the Ark, and we invite you to send all of your blessings her way. You're going to come.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechi lach.
We continue with concluding prayers, which begin on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
In every service, when we gather, we conclude with a moment of memory, an opportunity to call to mind our loved ones who are no longer walking this earth, but who are very much in our hearts, often very present in these moments. We also name those who have been lost to our Central Synagogue community in recent weeks: Jean Nicole Bass, Judith Brinberg, Shirley Fishbein, Gary Freidenberg, Gerald Keel, Ruth Cravton, Edwin Roos, Estelle Rothenberg, Ellen Siegel. And we recognize that for some of you, you might be a recent mourner yourself, or perhaps you are marking the yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one at this time. We are a community gathered from many different communities this morning. If you would like to share a name before we offer the Kaddish, I invite you to do so out loud now. May the memory of our loved ones be an abiding blessing. We turn now to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So we're going to conclude with a song of peace, Oseh Shalom. Please join us.
Oseh shalom
במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
Oseh shalom במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. Oseh shalom במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us.
Help us find the
bless
to
the
make
ones
our
before.
lives a blessing. Help us
Bless the ones
אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילה להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גאוני בצור חבלי ועצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת ישן ויעירה ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא ולא אירא
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור בזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה לך דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
לקראת שבת לכו ונחת כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקרב לסוכות
סוף נעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
התעוררי התעוררי כי בעורך קומי אורי 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 שתדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
בחגותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחגותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחגותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחגותי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing, turning to page 28 for our call to worship.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, השרת מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש הקדוש ברוך הוא בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שלום עליכם שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש הקדוש ברוך הוא ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי
Adonai roi lo echsar binot deshe yarbitzeni al mei menuchot נפשי ישובב, ינחני ומגל עצה. למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי.
שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ובכל המאוד ברא הוא הכל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, אדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, יירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שדי וילכו לשמו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Olchem לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamnachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kevodo, B'chol ha'amim niflotav, Ki gadol Adonai, Umhulal me'od, Al kol Elohim, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kevodo, B'chol ha'amim niflotav, Ki gadol Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz. Yehiyu l'Ratzon, Imrifi, Be'yon libi, lefanecha Adonai, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol HaShalom V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol leit u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Adon Lechol HaShalom
Min hametzah.
It's a joyful morning to be together. We can say that with these words, Hine ma tovu manayim, how good it is to be together.
Hine ma tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tovu manayim, sheverachim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
It is a joy to be here this morning. If you've been outside and you're in the New York area, it is so cold outside. But in here we have the warmth of Shabbat and the warmth of all of the joy that we are celebrating this morning with our bar mitzvah, Ian. We have many family and friends here in the sanctuary with us, and we know we have many more people watching and sending their blessings via our live stream. So if you want to wave to them back there that way, they can see where you are. And we are also joined this morning, and they're adding to our warmth, our wonderful musicians who elevate our services and our prayers. And a special thank you to our shamashim who greeted us, to our security and operations team who really help us feel welcomed and safe in this space. My name is Rabbi Rebecca Rosenthal, and I'm joined on the bima this morning by our senior rabbi, Angela Buckdahl, and of course, soon our bar mitzvah boy, Ian Rickert. So we encourage you to really open your prayer books, open your Sidurim. They should be either in front of you or under your seat if you're in the front, to sing along with us. If you know the words, wonderful. If you don't know the words, Lai La Lai is always a wonderful thing to sing. So we are going to get started with Elohim Neshama, where we thank God for bringing our soul to us, and that is on page 78.
Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi
Part of becoming a bar mitzvah, an adult in the Jewish world, is taking on all of the blessings and obligations of what it means to be a Jew. So we're going to look together on page 88. I invite you to read with us in the English about all of the wonderful ways that we take care of each other, our community, and our world. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
So Ian, this is just the beginning of the list of all the mitzvot you will be responsible for as you stand up here and become bar mitzvah. But we can fulfill one of them right now. Actually, you're probably fulfilling a bunch of them. You're probably honoring your mother and father by becoming bar mitzvah, and you dealt graciously with the guests who came in this morning. But all of us can do the mitzvah of being devoted in prayer, even if prayer is not a language that you are always accustomed to doing. There's a lot we can be grateful for. Psalm 150 is really a psalm of gratitude. So whether or not you're used to praying to God, maybe even in another faith tradition, whichever way you speak, I think we can always find that language of song and gratitude that lifts us up. So with only one Hebrew word, which is hallelujah, you can do all of that and fulfill this mitzvah of being devoted in prayer. How about that? So I'm going to teach you the chorus of this, which is very easy on page 100. And I hope that even if you don't know all the words, that you can join just at least on the chorus. And it goes like this.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. That's it. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We'll add the words. Hallelujah. El Bekocho, hallelujah, Birkia Uzo, hallelujah, Bikurotav, hallelujah, Kirov Bula, hallelujah, just hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Take a shofar, take a shofar, hallelujah, v'nevel v'chinor, hallelujah, v'tofu machol, hallelujah, v'minim ve'ugav, hallelujah.
Shama, Silsile Shama, Hallelujah. It's Silsile Trua, Hallelujah. It's Silsile Shama, Hallelujah. It's Silsile Kol HaShama, Kol HaShama. Tehaleya, Hallelujah, Kol HaShama. Tehaleya, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Now that we have had a chance to joyfully warm up our voices, we are going to use our whole body to pray together our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. If you are able, we invite you to rise on page 108.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
You can be seated. Our next prayer is about the light that God created. And I think we can all agree we need to bring some light into the world. We are reading together at the top of page 111. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order and then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth.
Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. So if you want to look back on page 110, the beginning of this prayer, thanking God for creation, we'll use those words, and it'll be in a round, which is so fitting for a song which celebrates the sun coming up in the morning. No matter how dark the day was before, it comes back up, and it comes up at a different time wherever you are in the world, just like this round. So once you get a feeling for the round, you can just start it wherever you want it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol.
We continue now with the Shema, perhaps our most important prayer, where we say that God is one. We sing together on page 114, first in the English and then in the Hebrew.
So we share these words in English, almost like a mantra. And perhaps when you do, and just sort of let this wash of sound around us, you notice that your sound will become one with everyone else. And maybe that is a little reminder that we are not all separate beings. We are all part of a larger oneness. And even beyond the walls of this sanctuary, we are part of a much larger oneness. I think that is one of the ways we can think about this prayer, which is at the center of our faith. God is one.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one.
That's it.
Hear, O Israel, hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel, hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Mahuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום בך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם נאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
I think we can all imagine what it must have felt like to be the Israelites standing in front of the sea with the Egyptians behind them and the sea in front of them, waiting for a miracle, waiting for something to happen, and the joy they must have felt as they reached the other side. And so we're going to channel some of that joy into our next prayer, Micha Mocha, which is our freedom and redemption song on page 122.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai lai la 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 lai la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot osefet, Torah tehilot osefet. Lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai lai la 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 lai la la la. שירה חדשה שבחוג גאולים לשמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
As you will hear a little bit later in Ian's teaching, he's very interested in the question of who gets to talk to God and how. And the answer is all of us, and right now, in our hearts. We get a moment for silent prayer where we can bring everything that we've brought into this room, all of our joy and pride and blessings and any sadness and pain we are carrying from this week, and we can put it all into our hearts and send this message to God, to the universe, using the words of our prayer book on 124 or the words that are in your heart.
והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני
on page 124. I invite the congregation to please rise. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha.
Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, לחיים מתים אתה רב והושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, בלא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני, אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה,
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol
now my pleasure to call the generations of Ian's family to join us on the bima, and everyone else can be seated. So it is only once a year that we get to pass Torah down to a bar mitzvah student in the same Torah portion where God is giving the Torah to the Jewish people. Because this moment, whether or not you're reading about it in the Torah, is a Sinai moment. It is the moment when God decides that you are ready to receive this Torah. But it's not by yourself that you receive this Torah. You receive this Torah from your parents, from your aunts and uncles, from your grandparents, from people who are standing here in this sanctuary, people who I know are no longer with us, but are really in your heart, especially your two grandfathers, from generations before that, some of whose names you know, some of whose names you don't know, going all the way back, if just even through the wall, to Mount Sinai. And it's not by accident that you're getting this Torah. Every single person in every generation before you made a decision that they would pass the Torah down to the next generation. And so when we hand this Torah through the generations of your family, we are also saying, you have a responsibility to take it, to make it yours, and one day to pass it down to the next generation. So we're going to start over here, and then we'll pass it to you.
You're a gift, and you're a blessing. You are history in song. You are hope, and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. Vedor vador.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Yitro from the book of Exodus, verses 18, 13 to 22. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my Uncle Barry, Aunt Annie, Elijah and Leah, Uncle Eric virtually, Uncle Brian, Aunt Michaelin, and Riley.
And a special thank you to Mia for helping us undress the Torah. Okay, you've got your yacht. Come on in here. Yep, he's starting right there. Mm-hmm. 1 second.
Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai natan haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi mimaharat vayeshem Moshe lishpot etam vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'arev. Vayar chotin Moshe et kol asher hu oset la'am vayomer mahadavar hazeh asher ata oset la'am Madua ata Yoshev levadecha v'hol ha'am nitzav alechan miboker ad arev. Vayomer Moshe lechotno ki yavo elai ha'am lidrosh Elohim.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah v'chayei olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
You guys can come on this side.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my mom, dad, grandma, and Oma.
Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Harayim Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Wait 1 second. Let Rabbi Rosenthal come around. Just stay here for now. Go ahead.
Amen. Amen. Ki yeh lahem davar ba'elai v'shafeteti ben ish u'ben rehu v'hodati et hukei ha'Elohim ve'et torotav. Vayomer chotin Moshe elav lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh. Navol tibol gam ata gam ha'am hazeh asher imach ki shaved mimacha hadavar lo tuchal lo sohu levadecha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Why don't you greet everybody? You're doing awesome. Take a deep breath. Breathe. Just start. Stay. Everybody else gonna talk to you first. No, just face her.
One thing that I did not understand when I became bat mitzvah when I was 13 is I thought that the day was all about me. And I didn't realize how much this was a really big day for my parents and my grandparents, and actually for generations I didn't know that this moment is actually putting you as one link in a chain that stretches so far back and also connects you to something we don't yet know. Your Hebrew name, which I'm about to call you up for your aliyah, that symbolizes it right there, just in your name. You, of course, have a name, Yitzchak Barak. Yitzchak is a patriarch of our people. Ben, Pesach, Umasha, your parents' names, so your name already contains your connection to them. But also, your Hebrew name was chosen because you are named after great-grandparents of yours as well. So in every generation, we are linking ourselves both to our past, and you become the future of those generations. So when you stand up here as bar mitzvah, here's the good news that I can tell. I know, you already know this is not just about you. You have a maturity about you that you recognize that this is something bigger than you. It was probably why you felt a little nervous this morning, which is only a sign that you care. But you recognize that what you are doing is actually meaningful for a circle of people, your community, your larger Jewish people, the ancestors that came before you, and for God. So with all of that, no pressure because you're doing great already, it is why it's so meaningful to us that we get to call you up to the Torah, to use this name that links you to the generations before you, and to see our future in you as you are called as a bar mitzvah. Yamod Yamod ha-bar mitzvah, Yitzchak Barak ben Pesach u'Masha, Lali ala Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'anvim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Atah kol hada. Shema b'koli yatecha v'hi Elohim imach heye ata la'am mul ha'Elohim hebita ata et hadvarim el ha'Elohim v'hizarta etem et hahukim ve'et ha'torot v'hodata lahem et derech Yehuval ve'et hamishim asher ya'asun ve'ata techezed mikol ha'am anshecha yorei son evata sam Elohim, son anshe emet, son evata, shamta alehem, sare alafin, sare me'ot, sare hamishim, sare asarot. Bishaftu et ha'am, v'chol eit, V'haya kol hadavar hagadol yavi'u elecha v'chol hadavar hakaton yishbituhen v'hakel te'at me'alecha v'nasu itach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hi olam, natai b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Please rise.
Please rise.
I took the mic.
It's a pretty big deal because it's all about God handing the 10 Commandments over to Moses. My specific piece is about how Moses is busy solving problems and giving advice to the Israelites. His father-in-law, Yitro, sees that Moses is stretched thin, resolving disputes day and night. And Yitro is worried that the Israelites will become frustrated with Moses about how much time it takes away from their lives, just waiting for their issues to be heard by just one person. Can you imagine how hard it was for Moses? He was leading the group, keeping everyone safe, hearing or solving issues, and trying to prepare them to receive God's laws. Pretty intense stuff. Yitro suggests Moses build a solving problem committee. The wisest people in the community help with the smaller issues, freeing up Moses to manage the bigger issues. The system is super important because Moses needs the time to teach the Israelites about God, and he also needs them to be open to what he's saying. I imagine it would be really hard to teach someone something if they were focused on their problems being left unsolved. So, Moses was basically like the most popular TikTok creator with tons of followers. He could have gotten really full of himself, but he didn't. Instead, he took Yitro's advice and set up a more equitable way of helping the Israelites solve problems. When he did this, the people felt heard, and it freed up his time to get everyone ready for the 10 Commandments. This teaches us how important it is to have a system of justice that is based on more than one person's opinions. A system that divides up the decision-making responsibility among many qualified people results in unbiased decisions and happier people because their disputes are resolved quicker than when one person was solely in charge. Everyone benefits from a system where responsibility is shared. It helps in our everyday life too. One person doesn't have to feel responsible for handling all the work in the house. And in school, the person who leads the group project can divide up the tasks so it's more equitable. Everyone can feel good about contributing, and the leader who takes on the responsibility has less stress. When I first read Yitro, I had a lot of questions. How was Moses the only one able to talk to God? What does God sound like? How was Moses not freaked out completely when God spoke to him? And why does God get to make the laws? Like, who died and made God God? When we talked these questions over, something quickly became clear. Sometimes we don't have all the information we want to answer every question, kind of like when Moses asked God for help answering the people's questions. But if we can't talk to God directly, we piece together the story based on what we do know. Can we know what God sounded like to Moses? Probably not, but it makes sense that Moses was the only one able to hear God. Moses showed dedication and made the sacrifices needed to prove he was worthy. Was Moses freaked out by hearing God? I'm sure at first, but he feels protected by God and he has faith. When Moses was spending his time helping the Israelites with issues, he turned to God for support with the really complicated problems, and God gave him the guidance. I think this confirmed for Moses that God was good and had a more all-knowing view. So, endgame. What does this mean for me and for all of us here today? I think it's important for a community to have a set of rules or laws. That way you know what's expected and acceptable. When there's a question about the law or someone has broken one, it's important to have a system in place that's fair. That defines how to handle things and move forward. I also learned that I'm a pretty curious guy, and I will have questions about things that may not have clear answers. The cool part is that I can figure out enough to piece together what I need for the story.
I love that Torah was excellent. Go ahead.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Isaiah. I will be reading from chapter 7, verses 1 to 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrehem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah u'v'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo Uvivyei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Vayehi b'mei Achaz ben Yotam, ben Uziyahu, melech Yehuda, Allah Retzin, melech Aram, Ufekach ben Rimalyahu, melech Yisrael, Yerushalayim, la milchama, aleha, Elo Yahol, lehilahem, aleha. Vayugad levei David lemor, Nacha Aram al Ephraim, Vayana levavo levav amo, Kenoach atseyar, mipnei ruach. Vayomer Adonai el Yeshayahu, Tzena likrat achaz, ata ushe'ar, Yashuv benecha el kitzei, te'ala habrecha ha'elyona, el mesilat tzedei choveis.
Wow, I just want to say that was incredible. I'll put it on the mic and say that was incredible, and say that I think you were meant to chant Haftarah. That was so perfect and beautiful. But also your words were so wise. There's a deep understanding that you already have, and I love that you should stay curious and ask lots of questions. It might be the most Jewish thing about you. It is really, that is who we are as a people, and I think that you have to be able to live in our religion with a lot of questions that don't have answers that we have to actually search for our whole life. You are on that path. That's why we see so much future in you, and we rise together in celebration and in joy of marking Ian's bar mitzvah.
I have to say, as I was sitting there and listening to Ian, I thought, he just looks like a rabbi up there. And then he said to me, can I tell everyone to sit down? And now I know, you have all the skills you need, asking questions and telling people to sit down. That's, you have it covered. So as you heard so beautifully from Ian, we are in this most dramatic moment of the Torah. Last week we got the plagues and the splitting of the sea, and now God is giving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. The Torah teaches that there was thunder and lightning and smoke as the people stood waiting to hear God's voice. The rabbis of our tradition imagined what took place right before Mount Sinai and asked, what inspired God to give the Torah to the Israelites in this moment? They imagine that God goes from place to place, asking different communities if their people would like to accept the Torah. After being offered the Torah, the different communities ask, what's in it? Before they accept both the gift and the obligations that come with Torah, they want to know what they're in for. One by one, God shares what's in the Torah, and each community rejects God's gift. One is unhappy with resting on Shabbat because they would prefer that their animals and their slaves keep working. One is unhappy with the Torah's requirement for fair business practices because they would like to keep cheating their neighbors. And on and on and on and on. Then God comes to the Israelites. One can imagine that God is feeling a little nervous at this point, since no one has been willing to accept the Torah. God offers the Torah to the people, and they respond, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will learn. First, the people say, we will obey all the laws in the Torah that God has laid out. And then we will learn more about why we do this and what meaning it can add to our lives. This may seem a little backwards. Shouldn't we learn about things and then do them? But consider the way that our lives develop. Some of our most important values are built from the beginning, before we even understand why we do them. We teach children to put money in the tzedakah box before they understand anything about money or charity, to build the muscle of giving to others. We learn the prayers of the Shabbat service before we know what they mean, in order to pray in community. Perhaps, Ian, there were even parts of this bar mitzvah process that you did before you fully understood why you were doing it. But we know that doing is not enough, because we are a people of learning. Ian, you are a person who asks incredibly deep questions. You want to know why and how and what everything means. It's one of your gifts. You might not have blindly accepted the Torah on first offer, but I know that you realize what a gift it is, because it allows so much space for deep learning and inquiry. My blessing for you is that you never stop asking questions, but that you also become comfortable, as Rabbi Buchdahl said, with questions where you can't know the answers. It's those questions that will allow you to grow and engage and find your path in the Jewish world. It's the more challenging path, but I know that you're up for the challenge. I'm sure many of you in this room have your own blessing for Ian at this joyous moment, so I'm going to ask Ian to join me at the ark, and I will ask everyone here, if you are able to please rise, and I invite you to send all of your blessings Ian's way.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechi lach, lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi
So we are going to conclude our service with even more blessings and song with Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוסף ראשית, שלא עשנו גלויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך
Even in our most joyful moments, we pause for a moment of memory. I know the Rickard family today is especially thinking of Michelle's dad, Ron, and Scott's dad, Kevin. And here in our central community, we are mourning the loss in recent days of Jean Nicole Bass, Judith Brinberg, Shirley Fishbane, Gary Friedenberg, Gerald Kyle, Ruth Crafton, Edward Ruse, Estelle Rothenberg, and Ellen Siegel. And I know some of you may be in mourning or observing a yard site, so I invite you to say the name aloud or in your heart of the person that you are remembering at this moment. And we will join together on page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brechu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So we are going to close our service with a song of peace, Oseh Shalom, one I know is a special favorite of Ian, probably having sung it hundreds of times in LCLJ, so he's going to help us out, and we hope you will all join us
I
in
always
song.
love it when a bar mitzvah has a request, for a song. Yeah. So, Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
May the joy of this moment carry us into the next week. May you ask lots of good questions in the coming week. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov.